Hello, my name's Darius McKeever, and I will be doing my informative speech on arts management, which is the field of work that I'm currently in and the field of work that I hope to advance in the future. So I have experience in arts management. I have been working in theater performance for 15 plus years now in a variety of different areas. I've directed shows, I've performed in them, I've worked as a stagehand, and I've also worked as production management as well as a costume designer for several productions. The reason why I have spent so much of my life involved in the arts in general is because I believe that the arts bring communities together. I believe that the arts have the power to inspire others to have difficult conversations. I believe that in times of trauma, the arts can be a significant factor in individual healing as well as community healing. That in particular is talked a lot about in this book, Arts Management, by Ellen Rosewall. This is my textbook from my arts management class that I take at the University of Baltimore. It's a great source as far as learning how to start an arts or culture organization. Another great source for information is this book as well, Successful Fundraising for Arts and Cultural Organizations. In this text, you're going to find out a lot about how to fundraise, how to finance your cultural or arts events. It gives you a step-by-step process on how to do so, as well as the different types of art organizations that are out there, which I'll actually mention as well later on. Why did I decide to go into this line of work? I decided that there was a need for it in my community, which is the art community here in Baltimore. There was a big trend with a lot of undergrad students who were graduating from school. Instead of going out and moving to different cities to try to get involved in other organizations, they wanted to start their own. For example, a friend of mine started his theater company, Still Point Theater, which I'm actually a member of. Now, unfortunately, what was happening is that those individuals who were starting these organizations didn't have a full understanding of the business aspect of how to run a company. Their focus was on the creative versus the business. I saw that there was a need for people to have that information instead of companies, only succeeding for maybe 2 years because they didn't have the information on things like fundraising or marketing, promoting, visibility, stuff like that. I wanted to maybe be one of those people who did have that knowledge and could share that knowledge so that organizations like the one I'm a part of could actually sustain and be successful over a long period of time. Next, I want to go over some definitions, some key words, I guess, for arts management folks. You'll often hear arts administration as well. Arts administration and arts management are the same exact thing. It's just two different names, but they have the same criteria, the same vocab. They use all of those things. I'll go over the nature of the work, and I'll go over some specific topics as well. Oftentimes when I tell people that my focus right now is arts management for what I'm going to school for, they give me that blank look and they don't understand exactly what that means. So oftentimes I have to explain to them what arts management is. A great definition that I found in the arts management textbook is arts management and organization of arts and cultural organizations of all kinds. Again, arts administration can apply to not-for-profit as well as for-profit organizations. I specifically want to go into the nonprofit world of arts organizations because the nonprofit focuses mostly on whatever that mission is for the organization. I believe that my values coincide with particular arts organizations. So those are the ones that I want to go after when it comes to my career versus an organization that's specific mission is about money, about profit. Here are some subcategories for arts organizations. You have cultural policy, which focuses mostly on basically the politics of organizations. These are the people that are going to your elected officials and saying, hey, the arts are important and this is why you should fund these arts. It uses a lot of data often for cultural policy. Then there's also arts advocacy, which is exactly what it is. It's people who advocate for the arts. And it's kind of like cultural policy because, again, it's using data to say this is why it's important. These are people who are protesting, the closing of things, and people who are frequently visiting different arts organizations. Some other ones are arts entrepreneurship, artist management, which is specifically focusing on an individual artist and promoting them. There's cultural planning, which is basically environmental, which is, those people are the ones that are going into communities and trying to build the community using art. There's public art, entertainment media management, community arts, and then there's discipline-specific management, which is those people who are focusing on one specific type of art. So, for example, there are people who only focus on museum art. There are people who focus on just performance art, like myself. That is the field that I want to specifically be involved with, is performance. I want to talk a little bit about management itself in the next couple of slides because that's what we're discussing is arts and management. There are several functions to the management process. There is marketing, there's fundraising, budgeting and financial management, there's board relations, management of staff and volunteers, program planning and board evaluation, and education. The things that I have highlighted, the marketing, the budgeting, the management of staff, etc., those are things that I already currently do and I have experience in. I do them in my current job, which I mentioned earlier in my first speech, that I work at Howard Community College in their theater and dance department. And these are some of the things that I already have been doing. In smaller organizations, you'll find that there is only one individual that handles all of these things. In larger organizations, like Baltimore Center Stage, you'll have many, many individuals who have specific tasks, who have specific job titles, and they're able to split up those responsibilities. I have linked those examples. I use Baltimore Center Stage, and I also use Single Carrot Theater, which is the smaller organization. You'll see when you go to the Single Carrot page that there's only a handful of people who are working, and they only have one staff member versus the Center Stage where there's over 20 people working on those productions. So for management, there's planning and innovation, there's organizing and the supervision of others, there's leading, and there's controlling. The planning and innovation process, that's ongoing. That is when management is creating the long-term plan for the organization. So these are the goals that they want to reach. That's the planning process. The organization part of that is making sure that your company is achieving those goals that you've set. And the leading portion of the process, that is the motivational aspect of management. That is when you're motivating your staff to say, hey, you've got this, you can do this, we're going to reach our goal. That's when you're focusing on your mission as well. Whatever your organization's mission is, that's part of the leading process. The controlling is if there's any bumps that you hit in the road during that planning process and that objective process, that's when you want to go in and say, let's try something different. Arts organizations have both the artistic and they have the administrative workers. There are many types of employees when it comes to the nonprofit sector of arts management. You're going to have people who have very little knowledge, little to no training when it comes to the arts, working for a nonprofit organization. And then you'll have those individuals who have a significant amount of training working together to achieve whatever that organization's mission is. So you have your untrained and your trained folks. Also in the nonprofit arts sector, it's not like corporate organizations where there is a formal approach to the operations. It's going to be more informal in the nonprofit sector. Arts organizations can have different areas, different types of functions. I won't go through everything, but I'll focus on two. One of the functions an art organization can have is the presenting. And these are the people that are hosting touring performances that are produced by others. Great local example of that is the Hippodrome and the Lyric Opera House. Those people pay others to come in and perform in their venue. The other one is producing, and those folks are the people that are producing their own work for their own organization. So next I'll hit some points about nonprofit, I'll hit some points about the workforce, and then what exactly is the senior staff. So for nonprofit, as I stated before, its main purpose is whatever its mission is. The nonprofit is governed by a board of directors and it's managed by staff. Some privileges to becoming a nonprofit: you're exempt from paying federal income taxes, you can accept contributions and offer tax deduction in return for those contributions. You can also receive financial benefits granted by federal, state, and local governments. Often you'll hear the term 501c3, and that's basically your federal tax status. It's a form that you have to fill out, and it grants you those privileges. Here's kind of a breakdown of what a performance entity would have. At the top, you're going to have your producers. Those are the ones that are funding the project. And you're going to have your board of directors. Directly under them, you're going to have your artistic director and your managing director. Those two things, those two positions, are the positions that I'm most interested in having in my future as a career. The artistic director and the managing director, in some smaller organizations, it's one person that's doing both of those things. In larger ones, you'll have those two separate people handling that. The artistic director is mostly responsible for just that, the artistic part of an arts organization. They're supervising your directors, they're supervising your actors, the playwrights, and whereas the managing director, they're focused on the administrative task. You have to have knowledge of both of these areas no matter what position you have, because you work so closely together. Your managing director is the person who's going to your artistic director saying, this is what's possible for you to do. The artistic director, who also can be called the curator, is the person whose vision everyone is using to produce whatever the work is. They're the face of the company. They're the ones that are meeting with the board directors. They're going out into the community and promoting the organization, and that ultimately is what I would like to do. So some sources that I used for the presentation, again, are these two books here. if you are interested in arts management or interested in just business in general, I highly recommend these two books. It's got a lot of great information, a lot of breakdowns. This book has a lot of examples on the types of forms and paperwork when it comes to grant writing, grant proposals. It's really great. So that is it. That concludes my presentation.